The town of Maple Street rested quietly beneath the soft light of an early autumn afternoon. Wooden houses stood in neat rows, their porches swept clean, their fences weathered by years of wind and snow. The season was changing, and signs of it appeared everywhere. Leaves loosened their grip on branches and scraped along the road, and thin columns of chimney smoke drifted lazily upward, carrying the scent of burning wood. In this calm and familiar place, where everyone knew their neighbors and life followed predictable rhythms, 12-year-old Samuel Turner walked home from school, his books tucked beneath one arm, his steps steady but his thoughts far away. Samuel was a thoughtful boy, careful by nature and observant of the world around him. His teachers often remarked on his quiet attentiveness, the way he listened before speaking and considered his words before offering them. As he walked through the familiar streets each day, his attention often drifted toward the general store at the corner of Maple Street, where a small tin harmonica sat behind the glass window. Displayed among other modest treasures, he had admired it for weeks, stopping sometimes to peer through the glass, imagining the clear notes it might produce and the simple joy it might bring to his quiet afternoons. Yet the harmonica remained out of reach, its price far beyond what his family could spare, a reminder that wanting something did not always mean one could have it. Still, the image of it stayed with him as he passed the familiar path home, a small dream that kept him company on solitary walks. Near the broad trunk of an old oak tree beside the general store, something unusual lay on the ground that particular afternoon. Samuel slowed his pace, then stopped altogether. Resting in the dust, partially hidden by fallen leaves, was a small leather coin pouch, worn smooth by years of use, its drawstring loosened as if it had slipped unnoticed from a pocket or bag. The leather was dark with age, creased and soft from countless handlings. Curious and uneasy all at once, Samuel bent down and picked it up with hesitant fingers. Inside were several silver coins, their dull shine catching the afternoon light, clinking softly against one another as he opened the pouch wider. He realized at once that it was more money than he had ever held in his hands, more than his father earned in a week of labor at the mill. His heart beat faster as he glanced up and down the street searching for any sign of the owner. The road was empty, and no one appeared to be searching for anything. The town seemed to have withdrawn into its afternoon stillness, leaving Samuel alone with his discovery. For a long moment, Samuel stood there beneath the spreading branches of the oak, the pouch resting in his palm, feeling the weight of it. Temptation crept quietly into his thoughts, whispering possibilities. He imagined the harmonica finally belonging to him, imagined walking into the store and placing the coins on the counter, imagined the smooth metal beneath his fingers, and the music it might make when he pressed his lips to it and drew breath across the reeds. No one had seen him find the money, no one would ever know. The choice lay entirely with him, as clear and as complicated as any choice could be. At last, he closed his fingers around the pouch, tucking it carefully into his coat pocket, and began walking again. Yet as he moved farther from the oak tree, each step taking him closer to home, the weight of the pouch seemed to increase, not in physical size, but in meaning, slowing his steps and clouding his thoughts with questions he could not easily dismiss. That evening, the Turner household followed its usual routine with comforting predictability. Samuel sat at the wooden table, its surface worn smooth by years of family meals, while his father spoke about the long hours spent working at the mill, the ache in his back, the weariness in his hands. His mother quietly prepared bread to be added to the stew that simmered over the fire, filling the small house with warmth and familiar smells. The room was lit by a single lamp, casting gentle shadows across the walls, and the familiar comfort of home surrounded him like a blanket. Still, Samuel remained unusually silent, offering only brief responses when spoken to, his usual questions about his father's day left unasked. The pouch rested in his pocket, heavy against his leg, reminding him with every shift of position of the choice he had not yet made. Though nothing was said aloud about his quietness, though no one pressed him to explain his distraction, the unspoken weight of the moment filled the room, settling over the table like an invisible presence. When night came and the house grew dark and still, Samuel lay awake in his narrow bed, staring into the darkness above him, watching shadows shift across the ceiling. Sleep would not come no matter how he closed his eyes or turned his body seeking comfort. His thoughts returned again and again to the money and to the unknown person who had lost it, to hands that might be searching pockets in growing panic, to a face he could not see but could easily imagine. He imagined someone retracing their steps through the streets in worry, someone counting on those coins for food, for warmth, for the supplies needed to survive the coming winter. Perhaps it was an elderly person living alone, or a mother trying to feed her children, or a farmer who had sold his last crop and needed every coin to survive until spring. Each thought tightened his chest and deepened his unease, making the darkness seem heavier, the night longer. The longer the hours stretched on, the clearer his feelings became. Keeping the money brought him no comfort, no satisfaction, only restlessness and doubt that gnawed at him relentlessly. With the arrival of morning, as pale light began to filter through his window and birds started their chorus outside, Samuel rose quietly from his bed and prepared to leave the house. He moved carefully, not wanting to wake his parents, pulling on his coat and slipping out the door before breakfast. The air was crisp and fresh, carrying the promise of the day ahead, and the town was just beginning to stir as he made his way back toward Maple Street. Shopkeepers were opening their doors, women were sweeping porches, and the smell of wood smoke and cooking filled the air. He walked more slowly than usual, as if gathering courage with every step, his hand resting protectively over the pocket that held the pouch. When he reached the general store, he noticed something new. A paper had been posted on the door, its edges fluttering slightly in the morning breeze. It announced the loss of a leather coin pouch and asked earnestly for its return, offering a small reward. The handwriting was shaky but clear, speaking of desperate need and honest hope. Standing nearby, leaning against the storefront with the posture of someone who had been waiting for hours, was an elderly man. His shoulders were bent with age and worry, his face marked by deep lines of concern that spoke of a sleepless night. His clothes were clean but worn, patched carefully in places, suggesting someone who took pride in appearance despite limited means. Samuel recognized him as Mr. Alden, a quiet man who lived alone in a small cottage at the edge of town and was seldom seen in company, someone people spoke of with respect but little familiarity. Understanding settled firmly in Samuel's heart like a key turning in a lock. This was the owner. This was the person whose worry had kept Samuel awake through the long night. He stepped forward, his legs suddenly feeling more certain, and approached the elderly man. Without elaborate explanation or expectation of praise, he reached into his pocket and returned the pouch, placing it gently in Mr. Alden's weathered hands. The elderly man took it with trembling fingers, examining it carefully, and immediately recognized it as his own. Relief washed over his lined face like water over stone, smoothing away the tension that had hardened there. Gratitude softened his expression, and moisture gathered in his eyes as he looked at Samuel with something approaching wonder. Though he tried to offer a reward, pressing coins toward the boy with insistent hands, Samuel refused with quiet firmness, shaking his head and stepping back, feeling that the act itself was enough, that accepting payment would somehow diminish what he had done. In that moment, standing in the morning light on Maple Street with the elderly man's grateful gaze upon him, Samuel felt something within him settle, as though a burden he had been carrying was finally lifted from his shoulders, leaving him lighter and freer than he had felt in days. As Samuel walked home through streets now fully awake and bustling with morning activity, the town appeared brighter than before. The air felt lighter, cleaner somehow, and the street seemed more familiar and welcoming, as if he were seeing it clearly for the first time. His steps were steady again, free of hesitation, carrying him forward with renewed purpose. He understood now, with a clarity that surprised him in its simplicity, that honesty did not take something away. It restored balance and brought quiet strength that no possession could provide. That evening, after supper had been eaten and dishes cleared, Samuel sat on the porch with his father's old harmonica, a battered instrument that had been offered to him years ago but which he had always found disappointing compared to the shiny one in the store window. Its sound was rough and uneven, shaped by age and wear, some notes catching and others barely sounding at all. Yet as he played, drawing breath across the reeds and coaxing melody from the imperfect instrument, the notes carried a new fullness, a richness he had never noticed before. The simple tune seemed sweeter, somehow more meaningful, accompanied by the evening sounds of Maple Street settling into dusk. He knew then, with the certainty that comes from experience rather than instruction, that true worth was not measured by what one gained or possessed, but by the choices one made when no one else was watching, when only one's own conscience bore witness to action.